15:05. You say I have a total of 20 minutes, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so let's me try to go to on 15:05 because I got a lot of things to cover. And hopefully in 15 minutes, I will be able to go through all of it, yeah.
Okay, so when you are around 10 minutes into your presentation, okay. I will let you know that you have 5 minutes left. Is that fine?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Roger Nchibangu, and I'm from the College of Agriculture, Engineering and Science, particularly in the KASI department. I'm one of the ADOs in Westville campus. So today, obviously going to talk about the experience of our first year student to adjust with the online learning, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about for the next 20 minutes. Thank you. Now, the content of my my presentation will obviously going to start with the objectives, and then the questions covered, and also methodologies, data analysis, and also we're going to discuss some results. And then at the end, we're going to finish up with conclusion and some recommendation. Right? Okay, so the objective of this purpose basically is just to investigate the major issues that students are having when obviously coming from high school and coming to university during this period, which is a very challenging period. As you know, everything during the pandemic have changed. We are no longer having those face-to-face, even registration, everything is online. So especially for 2021 students, it was the most challenging one, because last year at least people had a time to see their people, the fees department, the college people during the first 3 months, but this year everything went online. So I want to find out how our first year managed to adapt themselves through this period. Okay, and also it's going to help us to determine whether the student, when they came from high school to us, they were actually well prepared for online learning, because we know this online learning started last year, and then they were in high school. So we want to find out if they had enough time to prepare themselves for this online learning on campus. And at the end, we're going to also determine whether the university, which area can the university can do to improve the life of students with this online learning. At the university, is the university doing enough? So we're just going to cover these 3 objectives. And then to do that, we had 3 questions. Main question, obviously, are students ready and prepared for online learning? What challenges are they facing, and what can be done, obviously, to improve this experience for the student? Okay, now, we use both quantitative and qualitative method for this research. Obviously, we had some open-ended questions because we want to feel the student, to make them free to express themselves. Because if you just block it into yes, no, sometimes you won't get the deeper understanding of what they went through. So we left some questions open-ended so they can actually open up themselves and tell us what they felt and how they went through all of this. And then the question is, obviously, it covered everything from the network accessibility, computer skills, the obstacle that they found, and obviously their current experience as they are now already on campus, almost finishing the first year. What are they doing and how are they managing now, you know? And also these questions we uploaded, as I said, on our Google form, and we forwarded to all our first year 2021 students in the college, which is obviously in Westville campus and Howard College. So we forwarded to all our 2021 students. Yes, all our first year students, that came about over 1,800 students who received the email for them to answer, but we only received about 189 students. So there already you see the major challenge that we have with online, it's participation, but at least we've managed to get over 10% of participation. And then all the answers were recorded, and now this is how I covered some of them, starting on the next slide. So first of all, we started to find out, because obviously the first thing is the registration process. When students come to campus is the registration process. So we want to find out, did they really finish the registration process on time? And then out of 198, 189, only 26 students says they finish in time. And then this is couple of things that were coming because it was an open-ended question. And then someone said they were helped by some senior student and the registration was done. But this one says he was helped by the YouTube video that was online. So also we can see that help is there. If you get help, you can finish your registration on time. It was a long and tiring process, and the sound keep on crashing. So we can see that there's an ICT issue that we can also try to fix in the later stage. And then despite all the problem was financial. I had to pay my own registration while I was funded. So there's also a problem of NS FirstYear. I think we're going to cover more on NFS as we go further, because that was the most recurring answer. And almost everyone was mentioning something about NS First delay, Yeah, so I think this one also said the same thing. They said I didn't pay, although I made paid, and I had to contact everybody. I don't know if you also heard Dr. Apasana Singh this morning. She was mentioning how students, they are desperate of getting an answer from someone, they start calling and contacting everybody. So this is one of the proof, and one of obviously the cases that this student did not know who to contact because a place was taken back, and then she has to contact everybody and everyone. Now, if we now check on the flip side now, not everybody said yes, other people did not finish on time. And some of the things that were covered is like the first issue to the registration, because they did not know how to accept their offer and how to do these things online. The financial clearance took longer, and then I had to email everyone because the class already started. So if you see, the trend is almost the same thing, they couldn't finish on time because financial clearance, the network issue where they were, like this one, it's like where they are staying, the network, it's a problem. And as I said, financial clearance, out of all the 180 something students, 56% complained about financial clearance. Like, yes, I can finish on time, but I had the issue of financial clearance. No, I couldn't finish because of financial clearance. I paid, but my financial clearance did not come on time. So about 56% of students complaining about financial clearance. So this is one of the major things that we need to work on for next year, how to sort out the financial clearance. Okay. Now, the second question that I ask is, because we organized orientation, it was online. Now we wanted to find out what was the attendance, because during orientation, we covered a lot of things that many students needed to start with. Okay. Only 44% attended. And then 25% said no, because they registered late. And then some people were saying, I was not aware of orientation. And then someone says, I was not educated enough that I could attend orientation even though I was not registered. So maybe also an information of who's supposed to attend orientation need to be sent out earlier to say, even if you're not registered, you're supposed to be attending orientation. And then this one said, I had no idea how Zoom works at that time. So, and then I haven't received UKZN data. So it also shows like preparation, computer skills, teaching our prospective student on how to use our platform. It's very key. Okay. This also, she is also saying the same thing, that I did not get any invitation to orientation, so therefore I did not attend. Okay. Now we want to find out now, student, when you are now on campus, where are you staying? Because we see where they are staying, it also influences their online attendance and online learning. So what we notice is that about 20% stays on campus, 35% stays off campus residence, 8% private accommodation, and the rest they're staying at home. So it is a major, almost 40% of our students, they're staying at home with their families. So there already you can see that staying at home comes with their pros and cons. Yes, people are doing things for you, but cons is like we've got a lot of chores, there's no focus and all of that. So we need to know how to obviously use this information to better our students, especially for next year. And now, and the major thing, as you can see, when we were asking the previous question, people were coming up with data and connectivity and everything. So that my question was, what kind of internet you have where you are, because we are online now. So they had to tick all that were applicable to them. So you can see like majority, almost 100 people, data, they are relying on data, like mobile data. So it's something that we need to investigate more. If we go further, later on, you're gonna see people are saying even when they are at res, they still use data because network, UKZN Wi-Fi at res is not as good as we have on campus. So they rely on data mostly. Still, you can still have a couple of them who have no internet access. Maybe they are staying at home with their parent or back, obviously in the areas where there's no internet access, but you can see the trend of internet access here. Now, I wanted to find out if they have past experience in online learning. Now, this is very important. Now we're going to realize here, 71% of our students, they just say straight no, like it's just a no. They didn't say anything else because it's an open-ended question, but the answer was just no, 71%, 134 no's I got there. And then we got about yes, 21%. And then few were just mentioning that because of last year, since we moved online, some of their high school were using, obviously, they introduced some online learning. So they have that basic knowledge, like how to use certain tools, you know. Now, the next question was, now that you are here, do you have time to participate actively on your online learning? It's very encouraging for me to see like almost 80% they say yes, or yes, they are participating actively, and only 15 people said no, which is 8%. And then a couple of them, obviously, they are in between, like this one, she's staying with the family, and then if NSFAS had not messed up, I was going to be at rest. So probably it's also one of those people who had issued NSFAS at the beginning. So those are staying with the family. It's always difficult, obviously, to adjust with online learning. This one is complaining about time management, and you know, if you don't have time management, everything is always on time. You're doing everything at the same time. They have difficulty catching up. Okay, now I'm just gonna browse through the next one because I want to go through the last one because those are the most important one to me, I think. Attend the SI. Obviously, as an EDU, I wanted to find out if they attend SI. It was very encouraging to me to see that at least 74% said yes. And then some were complaining about this busy schedule. It's always clashing. And then they don't have enough data, things like that. But at least you can see they are trying. And then one says that it was in the afternoon and they are already at home. They don't have internet at home. Maybe those are the people who don't have, they are staying at home. They come to campus during the day to attend and then they go back home. But now SI is in the evening, they can't do anything about it. Okay. Now, the next question is, do you attend peer mentor? Because we are actually having peer mentor in our college, which is helping people who are lost. 51% said yes, 32 said no. And then I just picked up a couple of answers of some people who don't even know about this program. They're like, we've never heard of this program. We don't even know if, I don't even know if I have a mentor. So maybe on our side as ADOs and as college, we need to find out how can we introduce this earlier so that all students know. Because when you read some of these answers, were really shocking. Students are actually learning about peer mentor for the first time when I'm asking them this question. Okay, now these are the questions that I wanted to discuss with you more when they say what personal obstacle you're finding on your way with e-learning. Some students are really mentioning a very, very, very good point. Like this one says, like they are used to see someone talking in front of them. So they are used to face-to-face. So uploading videos, Zoom, where you don't see the lecturers, you don't see the lecturer, the person talking, it's very difficult for them. They need to see the facial expression of someone for them to understand and pass better. So this is to me, I think it's a key point that we need to find out. We need to obviously to see how we can work around it. And then many students, obviously, they're complaining about the data, they're complaining about it's too much work. And then some of the things that I also found out is that they are lacking motivation. As you can see, these students like they lack motivation. They don't even know poor communication with the classmate because it's online. You don't, especially if you're staying at home, you don't even know who your classmates are. So that also can hinder you. If you need help, you don't even know who to contact, you know? Yeah. this one I had to put it on top because it's really something that as we need to obviously to investigate as a college when students are having tests at 7 p.m. Because it's not only one person, it came up so many times, people complaining about having tests in the evening and at night while they're supposed to have time with their family, or when they are already at home, they don't have connections, so it's a problem. Okay, this one I had to copy and put the way it is because they say the thing that is standing on their way is the temptation of copying. So I think this is somebody who's really genuine, doesn't want to copy from other people, doesn't want to copy from Google, but because it's online, the temptation is there. Load shedding, obviously, as we all know, in a few minutes it's coming. That affects all of us, you know. And then this one is saying the lecturers, they don't explain properly. Just like I was earlier on, Bobby also mentioned, was asking the question to the speakers. Like sometimes the lecturer just put a lot to the student, and now it's a problem for our students also as well when it comes to understanding the matter, because we assume that they need to swallow everything. Now, the question that I'll ask. Yes.
I'd like for you to have a little discussion. So if you could wrap it up in 1 minute, it would be great. Okay.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna put a few things here because this is the last question I had. What can be done to improve online learning? Let me just put this slides. This is the one that have something that actually we can even stop here and have a little bit of a discussion. They said, we need to have, like the first comment, I suggest that our next year brothers have a week with them, teach them how to use the online learning, how to submit work, and how to use a PC. So I think this is a nice point for me to stop and have a discussion, because I think this summarizes actually most of the experiences that our students are having. So most of it's just like complaining, suggestion, and then there's even one person who actually says, just abolish all of it. We don't need this online. We need actually to go back on face-to-face. So through you, Chair, I think I can stop here so we can have at least a 5-minute discussions.
Okay, thank you so much, Raja. That was very, very interesting data that you've presented. I'm sure all of you here are actually working with academic support, and to hear the student voice is really, really something for us. You know, it's great to in improving our practice. So you've actually shared very, very valuable data. Right, before I actually commence with a summary of your talk, I do apologize. I forgot to mention the co-chair, which is Bobby. Really sorry, I forgot to introduce you. Bobby and I will actually be scoring the presentations today, and so so he will also give you his input, and I'm hoping that we can have a fruitful discussion. So with respect to your presentation and the very, very interesting points that came up, you are most welcome to actually use the chat to put in a few comments if you want for Roger, or as comments or questions as well. And I think because as we're taking time is of essence. So very, very interesting, Raja. The key things that I picked up with you, that NSFAS and finance are major stumbling blocks for the students. So we find that many of our first years are relying on NSFAS funding, and if there's some way that we could actually get NSFAS to work proactively in handing out that funding before students are actually registered, that would be great. Interesting that communication seems to be another stumbling block, and whether it is with the key personnel at the university with respect to registration and orientating the first year student to the campus, or whether it is with the academic communication seems to be a problem and something that we need to be working on. And another thing that was very important to us all working with academic support is to take note that there's a large majority of our students who are not technologically savvy, and training before lectures commence seems to be something that's extremely vital. And so that is something that we need to consider for 2022, that students are trained on how to navigate our online learning system, and so that they are ready to actually take on the assessments and the learning that we are requiring of them. Network issues, yes, and compounded with network issues is load shedding. And I feel for our students that are in rural areas and are not campus based, who are really struggle with network and connectivity issues. That said, I struggle with network issues sometimes as well. And I think while Roger was presenting, there were minutes where I lost connectivity and I couldn't hear what he was saying. So yeah, these are real issues for us, connectivity issues. And yeah, it was very interesting. I think the last point that I'm going to make, and I'm going to perhaps open up questions from the audience, is very encouraging to see that 74% of the 189 students actually attend SI. And I think SI is something that's very dear to my heart, and therefore I was actually quite happy with that piece of information. Yes. So if there are any questions for Roger, we can take them now. If you could raise your hand, or Bobby, if you have anything further to add. Yes, Bobby, you can take over.
Thank you, Chair. Roger, my quick two questions to you. One is that what are the key conclusions? I know you were rushing toward the end. What are the two key conclusions that came out of your study? Of course, I'm not talking on a student perspective, but as an AMS practitioner, what would you suggest to improve things? Because it's not only learning what from the questionnaire and finding a way forward, but also as an AMS practitioner, what do you think would be the ideal way going forward?
Thank you, Bobby. Actually, that was part of my conclusion as well. Yeah. So one of the key conclusion, if I have to summarize it into 2 points, I will say number one is we need to do better, like when it comes to training and preparing students, because we can see that they are coming with no training or no computer skills. So have at least that first week of training them on how to navigate through the website or through our social, all our platform, Learn, Moodle, email address and everything. You'll be surprised to see even up until now, somebody does not know how to send an email. You tell them to send an email, so those are the things that we need to actually work on, especially for us as people who are working in the academic development field. So we need to work on training people, students, not only students, even our lecturers, because there's one comment which came up and then it really touched my heart, saying that lecturers, they are using Learn as a dumping place where they're just putting notes. Now students, they need to find their way. Where is the last week notes? Where is this week's test? So they need to find out to navigate through the entire page just to find a piece of information. So if we also maybe guide our lecturers on how to structure the Moodle page to make things easy for students, that will also be helpful and it's going to save a lot. And then when they're already here, it's just constantly checking up on them. Time management from the beginning of the semester. Once they're coming in, before the lecture even starts, we have them maybe for all of them in one room, how to manage your time, how to prepare your notes, all these things. That is very important. We do it at least 3 days or 1 week before they start class.
Thank you. There's one question from the chat. how would we motivate first years to enroll to the peer mentorship program? Because mentors have been sending non-stop emails, but not all of them are aware about it.
Okay. Yeah, from what I found out, like they say many people don't even know that the program exists. So when you now tell them that you need to attend, they don't even know that the program exists. It's very difficult. So at the beginning of the semester, when we are doing all of these things, registering them, we need to give them all these pieces of information. There will be people who will be monitoring, they will be helping you out. You'll be a peer mentor. You have any question for residents or whatever question you have, contact these people. So this information needs to be given to them at the beginning, not in the middle, because once you're telling them to attend, they are already so busy. There's a class, there's assessment, there's practicals, there's SI, there's this, so it's already crumbled. They already structured their time. And then when now you come and tell them that go attend this, they won't find time to squeeze it in. But if you tell them from the beginning that these are the people who are going to assist you if you need help with A, B, C, and D, from the beginning, they will find a way to schedule them on a busy schedule.
Thank you, Roger. I agree that we need to have, our ducks in a row right at the beginning, so that students are aware of what we have to offer, and so when they reach a position where they know what is available to them. Fortunately, we are going to be having an online first year experience program starting in 2022, and we're hoping that these issues are actually covered with that program. Thank you very much, Roger. And I do not see any further hands, and there aren't any other comments. So we're going to go to the next speaker. So thank you very much, Roger, and well done. And our next speaker is Ntembu. If you could share your presentation.
I don't see the presenter, I think.
Yes, I just noticed that. Okay,
Yeah.
We'll have to go to the next person then. And the next person is Diko. Diko, are you presenting, or is your colleague presenting?
Hi, it's the both of us.
Okay.
I don't know if Nozipo is going to share the presentation, or maybe I should share it. It's not a problem.
Okay. So you know the rules. You have 20 minutes. You can present for 15 and have a 5-minute discussion, or you could go 10. Okay, so it's Nozipo, okay, and Diko. Welcome, and both Nozipo and Diko Nyameka are actually going to speak to you about the impact of SI on the academic career of former SI leaders in the College of Agriculture, Engineering and Science. Okay, over to you.
Okay, afternoon, everyone. My name is Nozipo Hlalugane, and I am with my colleague Nyameka Diko, who is, I think, was the motive behind the research that we decided to embark on. So today we're going to look at the academic career of former SI leaders in our college, which is the AES. I am the principal ADO in the Pietermaritzburg campus, and Nyameka has recently been appointed as the assistant ADO in the Westville campus. Oh, and also I think we will use 10-10 Veno. So we're going to take 10 minutes for the presentation and maybe 10 minutes for the discussion.
Okay, so I'll alert you in the comment section when you are 2 minutes to left. Is that fine?
That's
okay.
Fine. Nyameka, can you please move on to the next? Okay. So just to look at the brief background of the supplementary instruction, as we are all should be aware that the SI is a peer-based learning which is targeting at difficult causes. It was introduced in 1973 by Dr. D. Martins in the UMCK, it is based, or it is partially based on the social constructivism theory. And most importantly, it is facilitated by an SI leader. Just to look at the theoretical framework that we understand behind the social constructivism is that it is student-centered. It is based on the cooperative learning, which is the sharing of ideas among the participants of a group. And then also it is highly centered in knowing that the student constructs their own knowledge and the teacher is just the guide on the side. So in this case, we say that the SI leader is just the guide on the side. It is intentional and controlled by the learners. So, and then also it builds up on the pre-existing knowledge. So whatever that the students come into the SI session with, it is with the facilitation of the SI leader that they are able to build up on any existing knowledge that they already have or with them. Okay, so when we are looking at the SI leader, who we believe is the critical role player in this, in ensuring that whatever knowledge that the students are building up, it is actually the one which is correct and which is in line with whatever academic content that they are doing. So we look for an academically successful student who is in their 3rd year or in their 4th year, and then we're looking for somebody who has done and passed whatever course that they want to become an SI leader in. And then we're also looking for a person who's got good interpersonal skills and then has achieved a good grade for that module. So this allows us to be able to build up the soft skills and whatever necessary skills through the training of an SI leader that are already pre-existing. So the SI is there to also enhance those qualities in an SI leader to ensure that it reaches its optimum, they reach their optimum performance. So some of the responsibilities of an SI leader is that they need to assist the student in finding the required study skills to pass that particular module. And then also they facilitate the discussion around the course content. They do not be, they do not be the center of the facilitation, of the discussion, but they are there. They don't stand in front and just narrate to the students, but they are there to ensure that there is a discussion happening among the students. And then also they need to prepare the learning activities, which include what kind of activities are going to be done to ensure that the learners are actively engaging in the SI session for that particular day. And then also they are required to go and attend classes so that they can build up on their knowledge and freshen up on whatever maybe they have forgotten. And then I believe that also another critical part is that they need to constantly provide the feedback to the lecturer so that he is able to maybe go over certain concepts that whatever that the SI leader felt that the students that didn't fully grasp, so that again, the lecturer can be aware of what is going on. So that builds up on the communication of the SI leader. It also builds up on their people skills. And then it also builds up more on how to control a large or even a group of students and how to ensure that it does not end up getting out of hand. So yes, and then also that also goes into the lesson planning and everything. So part of our research rationale behind this study is that in the University of KwaZulu-Natal, especially in the College of AMS, a number of studies have been conducted that look at the impact of the SI product, of the SI program on the attendees, but there is very, very minimal attention which is actually given to the impact that the SI program has on the students, or should we call the SI leaders that are actually there to facilitate this session. So we felt that as the ADOs, we need to know that part of the benefits that I set out as being an SI leader, there's a large number of benefits that are there, and that we always give the students, like the SI leaders, that if you're an SI leader, you can gain this, you can gain that, we can talk about retention, we can talk about this, but there's very, very little research that we as the college have done to see exactly what are the impacts that we are having on the SI leaders. And then also to assess the impact of the SI project on retaining. If you find that you've got undergraduate students, or you've got fourth-year students, or you've got master's students, what impact is the SI program in having in ensuring that we are actually able to retain our students, and then they are able to go on and do their postgraduates, whether they are within the University of KwaZulu-Natal or they venture beyond our institution. So those were the two rationales that we felt that we needed to go and find out. I will hand it over to Nyamega to take it on from here.
Okay, hi. So this was mostly a qualitative study, whereas we had questionnaire, which was mixed with 5 closed and 4 open-ended questions. The participants were anonymous, response via the MS form that was created, and 8 SI leaders were involved with the program from a period of 10 years, from 2010 to 2020. And 4 schools from the AES replied, and most modules were facilitated from level 1 to level 3. So we asked them, what is the motivation behind people being SI leaders? And most of the time it starts from, I wanted to earn a few bucks, and some will be like, I wanted to pay for my school fees. But as the time goes by, it mostly became, I want to make a difference. And some were to give back to the community because they also wanted to assist students in their familiar background. And some were actually requested or recruited by lecturers. So looking at the number of semesters the SI leader facilitated SI, most of them were actually longer than 4 semesters. We didn't have one that said 1 or 2 semesters. It started from 3. And then when we actually asked them if they ever considered doing postgrad studies before SI, and some of them said yes, and 37% said no, which means 37% never thought of doing postgrad studies before they actually did SI. So we asked, what were the challenges you had by being an SI? So the initial challenges were to balance their work and also the schoolwork and sessions. Some actually had problems.
I don't know whether it's mine or is Nameka having problems with her.
Yeah,
sorry, I was just Nyamega.
Sober and engage in contact.
Nyamega, okay. We seem to have lost her, which is, I guess, not an issue. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, she's back.
I'm sorry about that. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes,
Yes,
we can hear you now.
Okay, so one of the greatest...
If you can take it from the top, Nyamega, please.
Okay, so that when we asked about the challenges they had from being SI leaders, initially, some of them, when they started being SI leaders, they had to balance their schoolwork with the SI work, and some of them actually find it very difficult. Sometimes it would be that sometimes students would be shy to engage. So during the SI session, there were poor engagement, and attendance showed to be quite a huge issue, because before revision session, there will be like a lot of students, and after they've written the test, it actually used to drop. So also we've seen that it's hard for them to adapt to online sessions. From context to online, there had to be quite a few challenges where students didn't even know how to use Zoom and so forth. And we had to quote this one because he said that the greatest challenge was to change the narrative of a module that was thought to be being hard. So changing the mindset of the students was already actually challenging, as most of them were repeating and already scored a fail in that module. So it shows that SI leaders go beyond, because sometimes they have to motivate students to actually come to SI and actually do a good job at it. Okay, so what skills do SI leaders acquire? They get professional skills at the end of the day, such as leadership, communication skills, and they actually be able to be flexible. And we have some interpersonal skills that they say they gain, such as confidence to stand in front of students, able to solve problems, and actually being able to communicate and have listening skills actually were a very beneficial to SI leaders. What career choices did they choose? And most of the time we saw that a big percentage of them said they actually chose academia. Some say they're a scientific researcher, which means that it actually is within the basic and higher education. Some of them are educators, which is quite good, because UKZN has a study where they actually wanted to introduce SI into high school, seeing that some of them from SI leader to an educator means that there are some principles from SI that can be taught in a high school approach. So has SI impacted the career choices? One said that SI gave me the extra confidence to stand in front of students, and also motivated me to do my postgraduate and be an academic. And one actually said being an SI has improved my leadership and organization skills for my work, and developed my ability to communicate and listen to other people's thoughts and reasoning. And we have one where it said, I've learned that all students have different ways of understanding a topic, and it is our duty as SI leaders to ensure that we produce all possible ways to engage with different students with their different learning styles. So in conclusion, we can say that SI program has assisted in the development of personal and professional skills of SI leaders. And the program has proved to be beneficial to former SI leaders to acquire a postgraduate degree, thus impacting their career choices. There have been challenging that they have experienced SI leaders, but that actually allowed them to gain a good understanding of the needs of the students. So the outcomes of the study indicates that SI is therefore beneficial to SI leaders and opens a wide range of possibility in the academia sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Nameka and Nozipo. That was a great presentation, and something that's very dear to me and my research. So great data that was presented, and it's very, very interesting. And I think to actually listen to the experiences of the SI leaders. Some years back, I did a quantitative study where I interviewed SI leaders and from the School of Chemistry. And it's great to see that that you have opened it up and you've looked at the college, the SI leaders within the college. And perhaps I'm thinking that you could even take this on a broader scale, because SI has been running for many years at the university. And so all 4 colleges have SI leaders, and it would be great to actually understand the experiences of not only the SI leaders within the college, but also in all 4 colleges, and that would be something that would be very useful to the university as a whole, to understand how the SI leaders are actually not only impacting on the lives of our first-year students, but also improving their own lives and their own careers and their own studies. Okay, leaving it at that, are there any questions from anybody with respect to this research? For Numeka and Nozipo, or any comments? I don't see anything in the chat. Anybody
Nyameka,
would like to say something? Bobby?
Nyameka, can you stop sharing? Thank you. Thanks, Nozipo and Nyameka. Good insight to evaluate what happens with SI leaders as a career choice in the future. My question is regarding one data that you showed regarding the challenges faced by SI leaders. So with the responses that you received, do you see any linking of the challenges they face and the career paths that they choose in the future?
As maybe if you can just see that some of them, they had indicated that being an SI leader allowed them to have an insight on the needs of students, because I think that when they themselves are the undergraduate students, they don't have a clear understanding of what is expected from I don't know if I can say a person who is there to facilitate, or what are some of the issues. So I think being able to understand the students' needs, that is what actually pushes them towards a more academic or an academia sense, or towards the education sphere, because they feel that they understand the students' needs and they are therefore able to make, I don't know if I can say, make a better understanding or make better choices when it comes to their classes. And also, I think maybe even recently, we were not even aware that we do have a professor who is part of the university staff, who started off as an SI leader in a different institution. And we do believe that maybe even that academic, the way that he teaches, it's actually different from how other people are actually teaching, because SI allowed them or exposed them to that thinking of how do I think like a student, and how do I make sure that the students are actively learning in my in my lecture or my tutorials or anything else. So we do believe that the challenges that they face as SI leaders better preps them when they go into an academic environment.
Sure, thank you so much. Thanks for the answer.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that that there are many skills and in SI that actually develops the student, not only in helping other students, but helps them improve the way they understand content and the way they actually plan out their lives, and again they gain confidence and become more skillful. Okay, we go on to the last presentation now. With it is I think it's Nowazi and Tabiso. I'm going to hand over the. Okay, I'm going to hand over the chair now to Bobby. I'm actually presenting at another stream. So thank you, everybody. I will now hand over to Bobby. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. So our next presenter and the last paper for this session would be from Stabisom Konza and Nolwazi Biela, both from the College of Law and Management Studies. And their paper is entitled Trend Analysis of First-Year Student Experiences under College of Law and Management Studies at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. So the floor is open to you, Mr. Konza.
Thank you, Dr. Can anyone see our screen?
Yes, we can see the screen. You can put it on. Yeah, no, it's better.
Thank you.
I'm Nolwazi. I'm going to be presenting via Samiso. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the trend analysis of the first year student experiences under the College of Law and Management Studies. So what we'll go over is an introduction. We'll touch on a theoretical framework by Tinto, and then talk about data collection and results, and then we will conclude. Student retention rates continues to be of concern for many universities worldwide, more so in South Africa, where there is high attrition occurring in the context of low participation. Successive studies have shown that student experiences in their first years are significant contribution to the dropping out of the university. Thus, it is sensible to assume that a first year experience program would be considered the next best solution. The FYE program, first year experience program, is composed of two components, the monitoring side, which is done through monitoring via registers, and then the support, which my colleague will touch on a later stage. So our objectives of this study was to first establish the experiences of the first year students in the first year of pursuing their qualification at UKZN by identifying some of the challenges that they face between the years 2018, 2019, and 2020. Secondly, we wanted to investigate whether the first year experience program was able to address and remedy some of the challenges that the student were stating that they have. And the last objective is to compare and evaluate the academic progression for all FYE participants versus those who were not participating in the program for the following years. So as I stated earlier, the theoretical framework that we used was Tinto 2013, who talks about how student departure, we utilized Tinto 2013, who says student departure theory to examine the experience of first year experience. So Tinto in 1993 and 2012 paper identified that social and academic integration of all first year students as predictors of how they would handle challenges adapting into a culture and expectations of the higher education setting. What was a crucial aspect to the theory was that we used it to unpack how students with various preconceived attributes adapt into the institution's culture. The theory was then used to explore the first year's experience and the impact of the FYE mentoring program on students' academic progression. The way we collected our data was through attendance registers. We also did online questionnaires, and we got information also using Moodle evaluation forms. I'll hand it over to my colleague who will take you through the results of the study.
Thank you very much, Nolwazi. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just like my colleague has already mentioned, I am here to briefly take you through the results of our research. So what we did over the past 2 years or so, which is 2019 and 2020, we have been conducting surveys, trying to identify which challenges negatively affect the experience of the first-year students the most. So what we were able to identify are some of the following challenges that you can see on the screen here. Some students highlighted the health issues that were related to mental illness. Some were very much concerned about understanding the course material. Some students also were highlighting issues that are physical, health issues that are physical. Also, lack of motivation was also on top of the list. There were family commitments as well. Obviously, I mean, ever since 2020, where students had to study from home as well. So they are also now being affected by the family commitments. And also, one of the big ones is adjusting to the style of teaching, which means transitioning from the high school style of teaching to the university style of teaching. So that is also has been affecting students in terms of them being successful at university, or it influences their experience at university. So another one is also the transition to online learning, which came up a lot in the surveys that we conducted last year. And lastly, we also saw some of the issues that were related to financial issues. So as you can see here, what we did, we tried to quantify this, and we saw that about 66% of our population highlighted that they had challenges with online learning, or they experienced challenges that were pertaining to online learning, which means they were having difficulties with online learning, and about 60% were talking about adjusting to teaching styles, and 37% highlighted something along the lines of understanding the course content, and some were lacking motivation, about 33%, and some had financial issues, which means the funding that I think the previous presenter had already highlighted in their own study, that some of the issues are pertaining to NSFAS. So we are very much aware of that as the first year experience, and we have tried to find ways to provide support. As Nolwazi have mentioned, that I was going to highlight a little bit of the support that we provide to the first years. Some of the things that we do for the first years, obviously, all these challenges that we've mentioned above has really assisted us as the first year experience to either improve our existing initiatives or come up with new interventions that will try and remedy some of the issues that the first years are facing. So as you can see here, you can see that the academic orientation has been there ever since the beginning, ever since we were students as well. But now what needed to be done is that we needed to pivot a little bit and find something that works for the students, because you find that during the time of the academic orientation, which usually in our college is only for 2 days, you find that some of the students are not registered as yet. So when they come through the institution, then there is a problem, because now they have missed out on the most critical aspect of being here. And that affects their experience, because they don't know where to go, who to talk to, which offices to use, and where to find any of the services that they may require. So what we have done as the first year experience, we have found ways to prolong the orientation to accommodate students as they come through the institution. So another aspect of our support programs is mentorship support. We also have the skills development workshops. We have exam prep sessions that we partner with student support. We have academic writing sessions. We partner with the Writing Place. We have revision sessions. And one of the questions that came up for the previous presenter about how can we get students to be more engaged. I think what we have done as the College of Law and Management Studies is that we have made it a little bit more personal, this mentorship. So what we have done is that we are now utilizing WhatsApp, and you find that most of the young peoples are there on WhatsApp. So we are able to track them and be able to have the mentor facilitate a WhatsApp group where students can accelerate any of their issues. Based on these challenges that I've highlighted here, what we have done now, and some of the remedies that I've just shown you here, what we do now to measure whether some of these remedies that we have prescribed are working for the students or not, what we do is we look at the progression of the students for each year. So what we did, because the first year experience program include some of the foundation students that came in 2018. Okay, by the way, the program was piloted in 2019, which means it started in 2019. So what we did and what we found when we started is that we had first year students, we had technically second years because they were part of the foundation program, but we were able to also track their progression results as well and see and compare the participants versus the non-participants. So as you can see here, these statistics here, they showed you that for the FYE students are the ones that are highlighted in the darkish color, where you can see that from the 2018 intake, which means those that were part of the foundation group, about 100% of the students that were assigned into the first year experience, they were able to progress successfully that year into their third year. And then 2019, which we had our first year students, as you can see, 94% of the students were able to progress, those who were participating in the first year experience, but those who were not participating were actually at 91%. So what you can see here in 2020, which is very, very interesting, is that you see that students that participated in the FYE seminars had a lesser progression compared to the ones that were non-participants. I think the reason for this, and one of the reasons for this is obviously challenges that came with online and learning, which means we had to pivot and move our sessions from the face-to-face sessions into online. So some of the students were still battling with the data issues, and they were sort of prioritizing academics instead of coming to attend our sessions. But as you can see, some of the students that are included in this 89% were being mentored via the WhatsApp groups. It's just that unfortunately we couldn't track them down in the registers because they were not attending the sessions in terms of the Zoom sessions that we conduct. So some of the students here were actually assisted by the first year experience. As you can see that the lockdown and COVID-19 came with a lot of issues here. So there was a lot of things that were not consistent in 2020. So as you can see here, when we did our regression analysis, you can see that on average, you will see that these are the FYE students, and you can ignore the other variables because we are focusing much on this FYE. I can confidently say that students who attended the FYE sessions were up to 60% more likely to progress to second year compared to those who were not participating. So the first year experience, we can safely say that it was actually making an impact. So in conclusion, findings from the study suggest that the main challenges that the first year students faced were online learning, adjusting to teaching styles, which means transitioning from the high school way of teaching into the university way of teaching, and also understanding the course material, which is always expected because now there is a huge adjustment. So, so as the first year experience, we are aware of that. So what we've done is that we have a component now called the peer academic mentors, who are just there to assist students with getting familiar with the content and the concepts that are taught in first year. So we also, from our findings as well, we also see that the student feedback shows that the first year experience program assisted them with transitioning from high school to university. So that means coping with online learning and adjusting to university, and that we can see through the progression as well, and some of the surveys that we've conducted. So overall, the academic progression for the FYE participant was much, much better compared to the non-participants. And lastly, students who participated in the survey were generally satisfied with the program. Thank you very much. Now, if there are any questions, I can take some. Thank you.
Thank you, Stabiso and Mulwazi. Thank you for the wonderful and brilliant presentation. Personally, I always like when people show proper statistical analysis and data presented in the proper way. There's no argument that the first year experience is very critical for student satisfaction as well as progression. And has been reported to reduce attrition rates across universities around the world, not only in South Africa. And very glad and very happy to report to this group that, from next year, from 2022, we would be rolling out all the 4 colleges. The whole university will be rolling out the pilot's first year experience program, which will be a non-credit bearing module, but which will run through the year. The first module being knowing UKZN, the second module being academic writing skills, the third module being, or unit being, mental health and global citizenship and sustainability, and the fourth being financial sustainability or financial literacy. So anyway, having said that, thank you for the presentation. It's very interesting to see again that, most of the students that came to your program have also mentioned transition to online teaching and learning and financial issues as the key issues that affects the students. I will start with asking the question that, what is the ratio of your FYE attendees to non-attendees in your college of law and management? So say, for example, if there are 1,000 students taken to the as F10s in the program, what percentage of students that the data that you showed from 2018 onwards are the attendees, and what percentage are non-attendees? And yeah, let's start from there.
Okay, thank you for that question, Dr. Vagiz. So what we do, just gonna talk a little bit about how we recruit so that maybe it can benefit some of the people that would be involved also in other colleges as well. So what we always do, because I think 2019 we made it optional, so students could sign up, and some, they sign up and some didn't, and some didn't care, and so on. So we realized that, those that don't sign up, they are being left out. So in 2018, you'll find that the participation, in 2019, you'll find that the participation was much, much lesser compared to the one that we had in 2020. So, and also in 2021, because I'm currently involved with the program. So, but what we've done differently is that we have stopped from just making it optional for the students to sign up. And what we did is that we were assigning them automatically into the program. So what they will do, they will just get an email from the mentor inviting them to join a WhatsApp group so that they are part of that group. And then they will start getting acquainted with the program and their mentor and so on. So we'll take all approximately 1,200 students and then assign them into the groups of mentors, and then we'll have students participate there. But in terms of ratios of participation versus non-participation, obviously that is always a concern for us, and we are consistently trying to improve that. I can just go through the figures with you. I'm just going to look for a document here that has the exact statistics, so that I can just show you a little bit of what we experience. But yeah,
the reason why I asked, sorry to interrupt, the reason why I asked is, when we do impact assessments and when we look at the effect of a particular program, it's always a challenge in AMS, and that's the reason why I asked you, is because sometimes if your 10% of the cohort is attending your program, and you say that 100% of them progressed to the next year, and your non-attendees could be 90%, and you say that 94% of them progress. So that 6% that did not progress could possibly be on account of the comparison of numbers, where you are comparing 100 attendees to 900 non-attendees. Yeah, I hope you're getting me.
Absolutely.
I'm not dragging the discussion. I'm just trying to get a sense of it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just
compare apples to apples.
Yes, we in 2020, because I have the 2020 stats, so maybe that will give a little bit of a picture. and I can always share the 2019 stats a little bit later. But in 2020, we had a total of 1,252 students who were first years. And so out of those, we found that 1,055 could be confirmed to be engaging with the program. So like I said, Dr. Vagiz, so we have different support systems with the FYE. So we check whether the student is part of a WhatsApp group, whether the student is attending the session. So you may find that some of the students don't really come for the sessions, but they are already getting the assistance through the groups that they have with mentors, because we are also sharing content there. The mentors conduct their own personal sessions as well with the students. So if the student wants to book a mentor for a one-on-one, they can do that. So you may find that the sessions that I conduct as a coordinator, you find that the attendance is way less, but also the students are being assisted. So we take a full-scale approach in terms of how we approach, because we know students, you cannot necessarily tell them to follow one avenue. So some prefer another way and some prefer another way. So we do have a very good attendance in terms of our sessions, about 70 on average for the sessions we have on Wednesdays and Fridays. But then we also make sure that they have another avenue now where if maybe it's an afternoon at home, someone is stuck in a question or there's something they're not understanding, they can just easily message a mentor privately and the mentor can address that. So we also take that because the mentors prepare their own reports. So we bring that together and prepare these stats.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Thabiso. My last question to you is, how did you do the statistical analysis of comparison between the attendees and the non-attendees? Just did you do a t-test or what test did you do? Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am aware of that, but my colleague was assisting me and she's just went to another presentation, Molwazi. She's
problem.
With numbers. I'm very good with talking.
It's not a problem. Not a problem.
I think because we are planning on publishing this particular paper.
Very
so
good.
You can always also share, and so you can have a look as
well.
No
problem. Thank you. Is there any other question from other participants in this group or audience in this group? Any question for Thabiso? Any question that you may want to ask him regarding the study? No. If not, then please join me in a digital clapping of the presentation. Thank you so much. So that brings us to the end of this session. We had 3 presentations in this session. First was from Roger and Chibangu, who presented a very similar topic on the first year experience of students, especially during 2020, the COVID year, or should I say 2021. And the second presenter, Nthembu, did not appear on this platform. The third presentation was looking at the impact of SI on the career prospects or career choices of SI leaders in the College of AES. This was presented by Nozipo and Nyameka from CAES. And the last presentation, which we just had, was also co-presented by Thabiso Mkonza and Nolwazi Biela. So my sincere appreciation to all the presenters. And with that, can we, Dr. Padia, you are here. Do you want to have a final say?
I'm sorry that I had to miss the last one, but I was part of another conversation happening in the academic stream. Thank you all for actually presenting your work on academic support. These issues are really very dear to my heart, and the majority of my research is based on academic support, because I think without the support and giving the first years a strong foundation, they aren't able to progress. So the work that you are doing is greatly appreciated, and the valuable insights that you have shared at this forum and possibly will share in future forums is invaluable to UKZN. Thank you very much. Yeah.
We'll meet in the main room at 2 o'clock.
Okay. Bobby, maybe you want to stay behind?
Okay.
We can chat. Yeah.
I think All right. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Everybody else can leave. Thank you, everyone.
I think I need to assign host to someone else, because I
think Dr. Padia, I'll send you a new Zoom link. This is live on YouTube.
Okay.
I'll send you a new Zoom link. Thank you, Tabisa. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.